Welcome, welcome. TLP here. What I have for you today is this gonna be my first attempt at making a tensioning tool with a wiper insert. Now, like I've said, I'm new, so have mercy on me. And if it looks like I've done this wrong, or you got a better suggestion, please leave a comment below. But you hear about this. Anybody who's new to the lock sport community, you always hear about this wiper insert, tensioning tool. Well, I come across an old wiper blade, and I thought I'd give it a go at making this. For anybody who's unaware, your standard windshield wiper blade. Now this one is old and falling apart. Like I said, I come across this in a garage. But it's got this little piece of metal here. How about we zoom in just a little bit so maybe you can see this just a little bit better. Alright. I got this up here for, you'll see why in a second. But it's just a standard piece of stainless steel that runs through a wiper blade. Now this one, it had two. I've got the other one, which I'll bring out in a second. But it's got one on either side. See, now this side over here, it's already been removed. But basically, you just take this piece out. You take it out, and you can use it. Now, I've already taken the other one out. And this is what you got. It's just a piece of stainless steel, and it's got a little flex to it, but after we cut it down, it won't have much flex. And plus, we're gonna be instead of bending it this way, it's gonna be being bent the other way, and it's pretty rigid that way. Now, this is where comments, please comment below. Measurements for other people who may watch the video and may want to do this and who don't have no clue like me. I watched a couple of videos, and you know, they all gave some measurements and showed how to do it, and I determined that I was going to do mine at about 4 inches, which comes out to what? How many? Figure out the millimeters. But figured I'd lay it up here. Now, you know, this does not have to be an exactly, but I figured I'd mark it at 4. And I imagine you can make quite a few of these. And I'm going to make another one just a little bit longer. That way the bend on the end will be longer. It'll make sense as I go on. Most of you already know what I'm doing anyway. But let's see. Let's make one at 5 inches. And we'll just go with that for now. Okay, after you get this thing cut, you just take you some pliers and you bend it. Now I'm going to do this one. I want the piece after it's bent, I don't want it to be extremely long. Some of them stick out real long. I don't want this one to be long. Now the other one that I cut longer, I'm going to make it longer. But this one I want it not real short. I want it enough that it'll go into the keyway, but not so much that the pry part is that far removed. I don't know how to explain it. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you stick it in here, this is something I've come across. If you stick it in here, and it's not necessarily a tight fit, and this piece sticks out real far before there's an actual bend, when you go to put tension on it, it has a tendency, because you're putting tension on it, and up here's where the contact is, it causes it to want to tweak its way out of the hole. So if you make it to where it's not, the bend is not so far from the edge, that's not going to happen. Hopefully that makes sense. It's just something I've learned. And like I said, I'm not an expert. If anybody has any suggestions, please put them in the comments. That's the whole point of this, for me to learn, for us to share the knowledge that we have and learn from each other. because I'm new at this. I'm learning. But that's something I've noticed. I've got this old cheap tensioning wrench. It came with some old cheap lockpick set. And I noticed that when you put it in here like this, and the bend is really far away from this, when you go to tweak it, it tends to want to slip out of place. Does that make sense? And plus, this piece doesn't fit very good in there. So I figure if this piece is cut shorter, it won't do that. That's my plan anyway. But no matter, we're not going to make it very far back. So what we're going to do is we'll put it in here. If I can get it in there right. Yeah, that looks good, I guess. Let's see, how much we got right here? Let's just say. About half an inch. Yeah, that'll work, because I don't want... Yeah, that'll work. Where's my other set of pliers? Okay. Now, we're going to do this. We're going to put this in here with a pair of needle nose pliers. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab a hold of this, but we ain't going to grab it right up next to the pliers. You're going to leave a little bit of gap in there. And I know this from experience, and plus all the other videos I've watched where they've talked about this. When you go to bend this, don't try to bend it all at once, like that, because what's going to happen is you're going to overstress this metal, and it's most likely going to either crack, weaken it, or literally just snap in half. So bend it a little bit, and then bend it a little bit more. Bend it just a little bit, and then perhaps slide your tool out just a little bit more. Bend it again until you get it at the angle you want. Now, since this is my first attempt, I'm going to just make it a straight up 90-degree angle. Not going to go for anything fancy. I'm thinking about eventually trying to make one of these that has the, instead of it being a 90, it has the extra bend in it, so it's a little more ergonomically fitting to your hand, so your hand cramps up less. Because I've noticed, me being new, I'm sure this happens to everybody, but us new guys, yeah, it probably happens a whole lot. Your hands get cramped trying to hold them locks and them picks and them tensioning tools, and to do all this. Okay, let me grab it down here at the end because my pliers are hitting each other, and bend it just a little bit. Yeah, it's not quite a 90-degree. Overbend it a little bit. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. It's a slow curve, so to speak, as opposed to a straight 90, because you're not going to get that in there. But after you do that, let's just see how that feels in there. I'll spin this around on the top of the keyway. Yeah. Goes in there. Oh yeah, that feels a little bit better. Now, granted, it's loose and all that, but that's okay. You work with what you got. But yeah, that works. That feels pretty good right there. Let's try it this way. It's probably too big to go in there. No, to go in that bottom one too. Maybe. Not as well because of the keyway, the warding in that keyway. But you see how when I put it in there, because it doesn't have a good bite, and you go to tweak it, it kind of rolls out. Yeah, that's why I didn't want this piece very long. But that'll work, sticking in there. Oh yeah, that'll work. But you see how when you watch it, you see how it goes sideways? See? It has a tendency to want to roll out. That's why I made this bend on it a little shorter. Most likely, I'll make another one with an even shorter piece on it. And I'll get this down to, you know, the way I like it. Like I said, this is the first time I ever tried this. But I got a grinder over there and some files. And I'll take this over there to get off the little burrs that were on there. and I round it off a little bit like this. This is the end where I actually cut it, so it's a little rough. I'll kind of, and plus that's probably going to be in, might be whatever, but we'll grind that down just a little bit, smooth it out. But there you go, first fashion tensioning tool. And like I said, we'll use this other one too. Anyway, with that said, just remember, keep it safe, keep it legal, and good picking. TLP out.